warm welcome. I'm Rihatu Siddiqui and you're watching Viewpoint. Who gets to govern Delhi and how much of it? This has been the question haunting much of the city's history since it became the British capital in 1911. On May 11th this year, the Supreme Court had held that the elected Delhi government has power over all administrative services except those pertaining to police, public order and land. The five-judge Constitution bench, headed by Chief Justice of India D.Y. Chandrachud, came to this unanimous decision that other than in the aforementioned three areas, the Lieutenant Governor is bound by decisions taken by the Delhi Assembly. But overriding that order by the Apex Court, the Delhi Ordinance was brought in by the BJP on May 19th. And now comes the Government of National Capital Territory of Delhi Amendment Bill 2023, which replaces the contentious ordinance on the control of services in the national capital. After the bill was introduced in the Lok Sabha, opposition MPs went on to call it unconstitutional and also levelled accusations at the Modi-led government of weakening federalism. Home Minister Amit Shah, however, claimed that the objections raised by the opposition are only quote-unquote political. Now remember, the bill's statement of reasons and objects states that it is being brought because as the capital of the country, Delhi has a unique status, contending that Article 1 that defines the territory of India as comprising of states and union territories, when read along with Article 239, provides that the union territories are to be governed solely by the President. Amit Shah also went on to cite Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, Dr. Rajendra Prasad, among other leaders, on how they were opposed to Delhi being given the status of a full state. He further went on to attack the Kejriwal government, saying that their ulterior motive is to get control of the vigilance department to hide their corruption. But when the Home Minister goes on to state that the reason for introducing an amendment to the GNCTD bill is because since 2015, Delhi has been led by a party whose only motive is to quote-unquote fight and not serve, is that a logical enough argument to make for changing the laws of governance in Delhi altogether? Because isn't that only political?
अगर हमारी राजनीति में थोड़ी स्वीकृति कम है तो सबको मिलाना है, दिल्ली का जो होना है वो हो, जितना भ्रष्टाचार होना है वो हो, मंत्री कुछ भी करे, मुख्यमंत्री करोड़ों के बंगले बनाए, मगर हम विपक्ष में रहते हुए समर्थन करेंगे क्योंकि हमें गठबंधन बनाना है। मैं ये कहना चाहते हैं, आपको जब जरूरत पड़ते हैं तब नेहरू जी को सहारा लेने पड़ते। आप अगर नेहरू जी को सहारा बराबर लेते रहते तो आज हिंदुस्तान में ये मणिपुर हरियाणा हमें देखने को नहीं होते। This targeted legislation has been made for whittle down the power of the present state government, elected by the people at Delhi. Sir, it is a malicious legislation now.
Let's now first break down the Delhi Services Bill. How does the bill empower the Lieutenant Governor despite removing the contentious Section 3A of the Ordinance? Now let's take a look at this particular point that we are looking at the moment. The first one is, of course, that the Delhi Assembly will not have control over services. Now, despite the bill removing the contentious Section 3A of the Ordinance that held that the Delhi Legislative Assembly will not have control over the services under the 7th schedule of the Constitution, that aspect remains. It does empower the Lieutenant Governor and makes him the final authority in several important matters. And that's what we've stated it here. If we take a look at the next point, the bill establishes National Capital Civil Services Authority. Now, that means the NCCSA, which will make recommendations to the LG, who is appointed by the union government. If you look at the next point, the NCCSA will be making recommendations, like I mentioned, and it will be including the Chief Minister, the Principal Home Secretary and the Chief Secretary of Delhi. Now, that's the point that we are also going to make. These are the people who will be comprising the NCCSA. The Chief Minister, in fact, will be serving as the chairperson. The Principal Home Secretary of Delhi will serve as a member secretary, and the Chief Secretary of Delhi will serve as a member, both of whom will be appointed by the central government, and that's also the contentious point. The second one, the NCCSA will be recommending the transfers, the postings and also the vigilance probe. This becomes important because the decisions of this body will be based on majority. And therefore, this creates the possibility of the union government appointing the members that have been appointed by the union government to overrule the decisions of the Chief Minister in this case. Next up, the Lieutenant Governor will have the power to approve the recommendations of the NCCSA. That is also an argument, or he can ask for a reconsideration also. The LG's decision will also prevail over the NCCSA if there is a difference of opinion. So that is also another contentious point. Now, the bill goes on to empower the LG to exercise sole discretion on several matters. That also becomes really contentious and really important. The bill further allows the department secretaries to go directly to the Lieutenant Governor without even consulting the ministers or even the Chief Minister in this particular case. So, if we look at another point, the bill also empowers the Lieutenant Government for the Governor for key appointments for laws of Delhi legislature. Further looking at it, the bill mandates that the Chief Minister must seek the administrative permission from the LG, and hence he will just be that authority who will be there placed as the chairperson, but he will not be having any real powers. Let me take this across to my guests who join us this evening. Anuja Kapoor of the BJP is with us. Ikram Singh Sandhu of the Congress Party is with us. Also with us is Umesh Sehgal, who's the former Delhi Chief Secretary. We, of course, are waiting for a member of the Aam Aadmi Party to join us on this broadcast. But let me begin with Ikram Singh Sandhu. Mr. Sandhu, why is it that the Congress Party has mastered that art of digressing from the main topic, from the main debate, even when the discussion of the Delhi bill, the ordinance that has been now turned into a bill, was being carried forward in the Parliament, you guys were stuck on the mention of Nehru?
Good evening to all. Well, we were not stuck on the mention of Nehru. It is basically we were paying BJP and Mr. Amit Shah back in his own coin, because when he started off discussing this bill, he digressed. Very good. He made a mention of Mr. Nehru, Ambedkar ji, Raja ji, and all. That's very nice. But when he started talking about that whatever you might do, BJP will come back to power, Mr. Modi will return to power. If you get rhetorical, then you better be ready to face the rhetoric from the other side too. If you are having a serious discussion and you get politics into it, you will have to face the politics on the other side of it. It cannot be that one party fights by the rules and the other party has no rules to fight by. That doesn't happen, not even in a parliament, not even in a discussion. So that's that. Now, coming to what we are discussing here, you know, Aristotle said something more than 3,000 years back. He said a law is good, not when you are enforcing it, but when you have to face it.
Yeah.
And that is what I'll ask my BJP friends, that if the foot was on the other if the shoe was on the other foot, and their government was in Delhi, and the central government took away all the power of that elected government, how will they react? It defies logic on every front what this bill has to do. We are fighting AAP politically. We fight them politically in Delhi. But then the AAP government has been given a mandate by the 3.3 crore people of Delhi to rule them. Now, if the chief minister, if the government cannot even put in the bureaucrats at a position where they are answerable to them, it is a recipe for disaster. It is a recipe for failure. Okay. Now, you've already said 2 people in that committee will be reporting to the central government, and the chief minister will be on the other side. You have actually put the executive against the government. You will have the bureaucrats who are reporting to the central government, taking orders from there. You have a chief minister who is answerable to the legislation and then to the people, because after 5 years, they have to go and ask votes for the performance that they have done. They cannot go back and say, no, because I could not appoint a bureaucrat, because on Jan board, the person I wanted to be heading Jan board, I could not do that. I have failed. No, you're not putting a level playing field.
Okay.
And even AAP is my political opponent. I will not want them to fight on an uneven playing field. The playing field has to be open, because if AAP succeeds, Delhi succeeds. And our interest is that Delhi should succeed, and the services to the people of Delhi should be given. And this bill, if it is made into a law, will make immense harm to the well-being of the people of Delhi.
Okay. On that note, let me introduce Mr. Siddharth Sharma of the Aam Aadmi Party, who's now with us on the broadcast. Mr. Sharma, in fact, let me now start with you, because that is the main contention. With the numbers stacked well in favor of the Bharatiya Janata Party, the NDA, who will go about supporting this, and this will go ahead and become a law, this seems to be going out of your hand.
Well, Griha, this has become an onion peel moment for BJP, because as we all know, we have each one of us has certain rights and certain duties. As an anchor, you have certain rights in your channel, but as a duty, you have to sit at 6 o'clock to do this show. So BJP very clearly, when the Honorable Home Minister brought in this bill in the Parliament today, he was saying that this is the right of the Parliament. A small correction here. When he says that according to Article 239, the Parliament can make laws, it only means that it can make laws. It cannot change laws. 8 years ago, the same exercise was conducted by BJP, and 8 years after the Supreme Court heard it, it said that this law was changed. So there is a difference between making a law and changing a law. What they have done today is change the law. According to the Constitution, they don't have the right to change the law. Not just according to the Constitution, even according to the Supreme Court's judgment. You cannot change a law, because Article 1 of India is very clear. India is a union of states. It's not a union of union territories. Wherever there is a Vidhan Sabha, it becomes a state. Wherever there is no Vidhan Sabha, like Andaman Nicobar or Lakshadweep, that can remain an union territory. And wherever there is a Vidhan Sabha, that Vidhan Sabha has to have certain rights, and you cannot usurp somebody else's rights. And BJP can go. BJP is very rich in giving sermons of duties to others, but when it comes to itself, it is very worried out its rights. Right now, BJP has a duty towards people of Manipur and Haryana, and as per BJP itself, they have a right to capture power in Delhi. So they are more concerned about their rights in Delhi rather than their duties in Manipur and Haryana. And that is very clear that BJP, when I said that, I made a very clear distinction that you can, even according to the Supreme Court, Article 239, the Parliament can make laws but cannot change laws. When I say make laws, it means that there are certain issues, just like if you remember, if you recall, just yesterday the GST Council sat and came up with a tax slab for online gaming. Something like online gaming has this entire issue, this entire subject has come up only recently, which does not have any maybe reference in the Constitution. So there are certain new things on which maybe the Parliament can make laws, but on established things you cannot change laws. And what the bill today has done in the Lok Sabha is essentially changing the law.
Okay, so this is an important point that
if you have heard
yes, you have made an important point. Let me get Anuja to respond to that point first. Anuja, this is in fact the important aspect that does need discussion. The judgment explicitly doesn't bar the Parliament from making laws. That is that point that remains. So what was the need for this amendment at all?
I think when the Aam Aadmi Party, they talk about the laws, they forget that the law is happening, this 239 AA is happening only because it is a quasi-state and it is a UT. And they understand that. And it is a national status. It is the capital of India. Now, when we talk about this, there is an amendment which needs to be done. And as the Chief Minister of Delhi, he cannot make laws. So I think he also understands that under 239 AA, he cannot make laws. So you have no right on that. And that is why there is a problem. In Constitution, when you talk about, Congress was there before and the Congress was there in the center. Now, when they both were in double engine, they never wanted to change the law related to anywhere. Now, the minute Aam Aadmi Party came up, They understood that they need to change the law, and unconstitutionally they did this. And they believe that the Supreme Court has given them the the prayer which they actually put it in the court. Now they are talking about the result, the order or the judgment which is coming up, and they believe that the judgment is on their side. It is not, because of the clause which pertains that the central has the power on this. They were diluted on this issue that Arvind Kejriwal was talking about. He has no
in fact, Anuja, I'd request you to hold your thoughts, because the Delhi Chief Minister, Mr. Arvind Kejriwal, has just tweeted. Let's first take a look at what this tweet really entails. Now, he goes on to say that today, and I'm quoting from that tweet of Arvind Kejriwal's, today in the Lok Sabha, I heard Amit Shah ji speaking on the bill which snatches away the rights of the people of Delhi. They do not have a single valid argument to support the bill, just talking nonsense here and there. They also know that they are doing wrong. This bill is a bill to enslave the people of Delhi, and there is a bill that makes them helpless and hapless. India will never let this happen. This is a tweet by Arvind Kejriwal. Anuja, the point that the Delhi Chief Minister goes on to make is that the BJP, while introducing the amendment to this particular bill, does not have really a single valid argument to make. This is snatching away the rights of the people of Delhi, the Delhiites. How do you respond?
I feel so sorry for Arvind Kejriwal ji, because we were coming close to your scams, what you have done. And the IPS officers, you have coerced, and Saurabh Bhardwaj, the way he has asked them to resign, it's shameless. And this is where the center comes in. You talk about the people. You don't talk about the officers, what you have done with them. Why did you need to have to pull them down in such a manner, which was not under your preview? And I feel sad for Aam Aadmi Party. They were being under this impression, and Congress very cleverly never told them that they were the ones who did not wanted to become Delhi as the state. They were the ones who were opposing it. And as clearly told by Amit Shah ji, and he has today defined it very beautifully, that who is the one who should be making the laws and how it should have been done. Arvind Kejriwal ji unconstitutionally and illegally tried to snatch the powers which was not in his domain, and they are talking about making a law. Sir, you can only make law in Punjab. And I'm sorry, there Arvind Kejriwal ji has made Bhagwat Mann the CM. And this is the problem he's facing. He is a CM. Arvind Kejriwal is a CM.
We'll go back to the corruption allegations that you've just leveled, Anuja. This was something that was part of Amit Shah's speech also. But let me first bring in Umesh Sehgal, who's also patiently waiting. Mr. Sehgal, when it is about this sparring between the bureaucracy and the government in Delhi, there are several reports on that account also that have come in. And this also forms the backdrop of this entire amendment to this bill. How do you see this development today?
You see, apart from this bill, there are two other very important provisions for Union Territory of Delhi. One is the Central Vigilance Commission, one is the Union Public Service Commission. Both of them are concerned with services.
Yes.
The Central Vigilance Commission is by a statutory law, so the Union Public Service Commission is part of the Constitution. Now, the Union Public Service Commission has a right to decide all appointments in the Union Territory. As it is, they have kept class 1 and class 2, that is Daniks and IAS with themselves. And all doctors, etc., everybody is appointed by the UPSC. Now the UPSC makes recommendations to the President. So the President is the appointing authority of all the class 1 and class 2 officers. In fact, even class 3 and class 4, if you see their appointment letters, the President is pleased to appoint you. So this is number one. Number two, as far as the vigilance matters are concerned, I am talking of service matters, which are outside the present amendment and the Supreme Court ruling. And Central Vigilance Commission decides who is the Chief Vigilance Officer of Delhi. The Chief Minister does not decide, the Lieutenant Governor does not decide, the President does not decide. The Central Vigilance Commission decides, and they have decided that the Chief Secretary will be the Central Vigilance Officer. Which means he will be concerned with all vigilance matters. Now these are the two contentious issues apart from transfers, which have led to this problem, which has led to the bringing of this amendment and total disillusionment in the bureaucracy. The day the Supreme Court ruling came, without even the Chief Minister calling the secretaries or the Chief Secretaries for a meeting, suddenly the Secretary Services, the Minister Services, who had no powers as per the Supreme Court ruling, because the Supreme Court ruling had given powers to the Cabinet, not to individual ministers, which had to be given by the Cabinet. No Cabinet meeting also took place. He suddenly started, the vigilance fellow, he transferred him, the Secretary Vigilance, he summoned the Chief Secretary, wrote to the Government of India, transferred the Chief Secretary, who is actually Chief Vigilance Officer. So all this happened, which led to huge frustration, and suddenly at midnight, you open somebody's file and start making photocopies. And what are those files? Those files are against you. They have been holding inquiries against you. Now, a person against whom, if the accused has become the minister and he gets all the powers, and he is going to decide my fate, where am I? Where will I go? How will I do an independent inquiry? This is, mind you, when the constitution was framed, no doubt there is federation. Why did they keep provision for all India services? Why did they keep provision for UPSC for all the union territories? There is no state
absolutely,
public
and that's a
service
very
commission in
important
union
point that
territories.
Mr. Sehgal is making. Siddharth Sharma, would you like to come in here? Because the high-handedness of the Delhi Chief Minister in this particular case has been brought to light, and this was something that was reported at that very time when the May 11th judgment from the Supreme Court really came. And the fact that what's with the erratic transfers right after the verdict?
Yeah, Griha, don't you think it is a bit strange that for the last 8 years, BJP has been criticizing the Delhi model of governance, be it education, be it healthcare, be it water, be it Tirth Yatra, or whatever the Delhi model is. And strangely, when they bring this bill in the parliament, they don't, and they themselves claim that they have a right to make laws in Delhi, but they don't ask either for education to come back to the central government, nor for healthcare, nor for electricity, nor for water. It very clearly states that it is Arvind Kejriwal's developmental Delhi model which has basically spooked BJP to such an extent that they have themselves gone against the tenets of their own founding fathers, be it Lal Krishna Advani, be it Atal Bihari Vajpayee, be it Madan Lal Khurana ji, be it Sushma Swaraj, even be it Harshvardhan ji.
I agree with the point that you're making. I would let you make that point. But please answer the question that I asked you first. We're talking about the bureaucrats in the first place. We're also talking about the erratic transfers that started to happen after the May 11th judgment of the Supreme Court. And this sparring between the bureaucrats and the Delhi government has been going on. This was the bone of contention. This has also been picked by the centre, and that's also because of which this amendment is happening. We've had the former Delhi Chief Secretary who's just about stated those very points. How does the Aam Aadmi Party choose to respond to those?
Yeah, we respond to choose by simply saying that this is not the first time this bill is coming. Since 2015 itself, this is the second time this kind of bill is coming. Since 2015, the services have not been part of Aam Aadmi Party's control, but yet Aam Aadmi Party has been delivering on all its promises to the extent that the people of Delhi have again re-elected it. So that clearly shows that Mr. Arvind Kejriwal, since he comes from a bureaucratic background, he knows how to get work done, and that itself exactly is spooking BJP. Because even with the bureaucracy not in his own hands, if he can deliver to such an extent, what will happen if the bureaucracy is also with him? The main point here is that BJP is so spooked by Mr. Kejriwal's model of development. BJP, again I'll come back to say that, BJP today has forfeited criticizing the Delhi model because today it had a golden opportunity to take back all the things that were under Delhi government, and BJP was criticizing the exact same things. So because what will happen, Kriha, is very simple. Any Delhi citizen, the normal citizen of Delhi, tomorrow if he approaches Supreme Court and asks the milords that what is the value of his or her vote that he has given, the simple thing is that this bill will fall down even if they pass it in the Lok Sabha, because in the constitution you can have two political parties or two governments can have a difference of opinion with each other, but they cannot usurp the right of the citizen. The Constitution of India itself starts with we the citizen of India.
But
there is a Delhi citizen of Delhi.
I don't understand. The fact that Mr. Sharma, even if you go ahead and make these blanket statements, these idealistic statements, what is happening in the House are the numbers. The numbers are not in your favor, sir. This is going to get passed. How are you going to stop that? There is no point going about making the statement or the statement that's been made by the Delhi Chief Minister. I read out the point that he's made on Twitter. But to what avail?
So are you saying that the Prime Minister of India should not chair the G20 meeting because whatever G20 is there, it is only for 3 or 4 months? There is an issue called ideals. There is an issue called ideology. Parliamentary rules very clearly say that when a no confidence motion has been admitted by the Lok Sabha Speaker, all other business transactions, activities are suspended. For the first time, BJP is passing bills. Not just the Delhi services bill, any bill passed after the Lok Sabha has the Speaker has accepted the no confidence motion. There now hangs a Damocles sword on all the bills that BJP has passed. In legal matters,
Anuja, I like your response on that because this has been the bone of contention, the allegation that has come from the opposition that the BJP in this case is using this conundrum to go ahead and pass all the bills without any discussion. In fact, today was the first day when we did see some sort of semblance in the House when the Delhi Ordinance Amendment Bill was really brought about.
So this is the hypocrisy. Do you understand? That when they talk about Delhi Ordinance Bill and how come the Congress and all the parties who were just talking about the no confidence motion will be passed and only then they will be entering the House when the Modi will be coming. Now they are sitting for Delhi Ordinance and the same people will be delivering their agenda in their respective Vidhan Sabhas in November. So it is a very, very different and very clever game they are playing, and they do not realize and they do not understand that they will be they will be falling on the ground very soon. When they talk about Aam Aadmi talk about Delhi model, I think we all are appraised by this beautiful contention which has been put forward in front of Delhi people. What is Delhi model? Your 2 ministers are in jail. The same court.
Mr. Hemant Biswa Sharma.
Now you are talking about court.
Just like Mr. Hemant Biswa Sharma is not in jail.
Greha, you can see.
Although he is an accused by the...
Wait for your turn, please.
Greha, you have to...
Siddharth, let her complete your point. You can come in later. Yeah, Anuja.
You can have a government with Ajit Pawar on whom ED is there.
Siddharth,
So basically you are browbeating people.
Mr. Sharma, wait for your turn,
BJP
sir.
is saying that I am going
Please
to
wait
put
for your
everything.
turn.
Just
Anuja, quickly make your point. I have to go to the Congress guest.
Thank you. If you will not ask him to interrupt,
Yeah, I have
will
just done
put my
that.
point.
Please.
Now, yeah. So what I'm going to say is that the Delhi model is in front of everybody, and the same courts which they believe they are shouting now on Supreme Court, on trial court, the Rouse court, and everybody who has not given bail. So there is the problem. They are bringing up the health contentions, but they have not denied the corruption. You have to very carefully look into.
We have to go to the corruption part, but before that, Mr. Sandhu, when it is about discussion in the House, has the Congress party reached that sort of consensus, and that's why this bringing about the Aam Aadmi party and the Congress together, because you both were not really seeing eye to eye, even on the Delhi ordinance issue. But considering now that you're part of the India alliance, there has been a desperate attempt to come together, stitch this force, because that's the accusation will be slapped against you by the Bharatiya Janata Party. And that's why, despite the Manipur issue, there was a discussion over the ordinance today in the Parliament.
Rhea, we have other differences with AAP. We have differences with them on governing Delhi, on governing and Punjab. But on the ordinance bill, there's no difference.
Okay.
Give me one statement of any leader from the Delhi unit or from the national unit or from the national party who has supported the ordinance, and I'll take my words back. So that they are two totally different things.
Okay.
Now we come to these things which is happening right now. I'll just like to remind my friend from BJP that when the statehood bill came in 1993, Narasimha Rao was the Prime Minister of the country. He was from the Congress. For 5 years, first Mr. Madan Lal Khurana, then Sahib Singh Verma, and then Sushma Swaraj were the 3 CMs from BJP. Tell me one time where there was such an antagonistic relationship between the CM and the PM. Then I'll give credit to BJP there. When Sheila Dikshit started her term, for 6 years, she worked under Mr. Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji, who was Prime Minister. And she always had glowing terms for him, that if I went to Vajpayee ji with 5 things, I used to get 4 done. And on the 5th also, he used to be apologetic that बाद में देख लेंगे. That is the kind of consensus that this country has lived on, not the kind of Rambo culture that Mr. Modi and Mr. Amit Shah has brought in, which is either you are with us or if you are not with us, we will decimate.
Yeah, absolutely. Anuja, quickly make this point, because the one comment that Amit Shah really made today, the one comment that Amit Shah really made today was that because there is a certain political party that is governing Delhi and it doesn't believe in governance, it's only fighting, and that's why we are introducing this amendment to the bill. How legitimate is that statement coming in from the Home Minister?
Griha, this is where I quickly tell that again. I tell my friend who's from the Congress, please don't support Aam Aadmi Party. They have already taken over from Punjab and they've taken it over on Delhi. The more you're going to give them your
answer my question, Anuja, really short and time. Please answer the question.
I still believe that the Arvind Kejriwal is the one who has the problem with the current Delhi scenario. As my friend has already said.
No, but why did Amit Shah have to make that claim?
BJP and Congress.
How legitimate is that claim that has been made by the Home Minister? Please respond to that question, Anuja.
What legitimacy you're talking about? That is where the situation is. The BJP and the Congress.
No, he is branding the opposition for politics that's been played. If he is branding the opposition for politics that's being played, then what he said in regards to presenting this amendment is also political. How is it not political?
This is not political. We're talking about the development of the Delhi and the development of the United States.
No, absolutely, but I am telling you about the statement that has been specifically made by the Home Minister. Why did he have to make that statement?
No, I understand, because we have to talk about it in the Parliament, because everybody wants us to speak in the Parliament. Okay. So that is why we are putting our contention in the Parliament.
Okay, quickly, Siddharth Sharma, the other and most important bone of contention that also Mr. Umesh Sehgal spoke about is the Vigilance Department that the Aam Aadmi Party, the government of Delhi, wants ample control over. The accusation by the BJP is that so that you can cover up the corruption allegations that are against you. How do you respond?
My response is very simple. Is the BJP saying that it is so powerless in Delhi, even if with ED, CBI, etc., it doesn't have enough power of prosecution? So basically, everyone knows that politics is not a blood sport where you decimate an enemy. It is more like a chess game where you beat your opponent fair and square. BJP seems to have struck a Faustian bargain with impropriety to get into power by hook or crook. Means have become irrelevant to BJP, only ends matter, and the entire edifice of BJP saying that Mr. Kejriwal and there is misgovernance in Delhi has fallen flat today for the simple reason that other than services, other than control of bureaucracy, BJP has not asked for either education, healthcare, electricity,
you have made that point,
or
Siddharth
water.
Sharma. Thank you so much for presenting those aspects also. That is a legitimate point. However, you've still refrained from answering the question that I asked you. We'd have to unfortunately leave it at that. Thank you so much, all my guests, for joining me on the broadcast this evening. With that, we are slipping into a very, very short break. But up next, a shocking crime from Rajasthan's Bhilwara, where a 14-year-old girl's burnt body was found in a brick kiln. Amid the Manipur storm, will the Congress walk the talk when it comes to law and order in the state of Rajasthan, which it is governing? That's the big question that we are asking on the other side of this very short break.